Maybe.
From the Ghost Tactical Production Studio, welcome to Tactical Tuesday, streaming live on YouTube and simulcasting as always on GunChannels.com. To check out our entire lineup of videos, podcasts, and live shows, please visit our website, www.ghosttacticalproductions.com.
What is going on, my Ghost Squad? Welcome to Tactical Tuesday. Today is Tuesday, February 5th, 2019. Welcome to the Haunted House. You guys are here for the first time. We welcome you to the channel. Welcome you to the show. If you're long-time listeners and many-time callers, welcome back as well. We are live, as always, on YouTube and simulcasting, as always, over on GunChannels.com. If you're not familiar with GunChannels.com, then crawl out from underneath the rock in which you live. The link is going to be in the chat over there. Go check us out. It's a great two-way pro-gun platform started by GWebs about 5 years ago, and it's a great place to get together as a community, talk whatever you want to talk. There's a 24-hour live chat going on pretty much all day, every day, that you can ask questions or just kind of come and meet like-minded people. So come check us out over there. Speaking of gun channels, let's go see who's hanging out over there. You got GWebs and DT Pfeiffer and the Tactical Chicken, Gizzard Gary himself, Ohio 45 up there, and Night Strike. Over on the YouTube side, let's go quickly do a roll call. If you're out there and you haven't said hello, please say something because we can't see you unless you say something. So let's go say hello to the crazies out there. You got JMW started things off, and whoever JMW is says, guns are adult blankies for hyper-fearful people, overly sensitive to the NRA and faux news fear propaganda. Just a bunch of chicken littles convinced the sky is falling. And I quickly invited them to the show and haven't heard back from them. Go figure. Anyway, so thank you, JMW, for stopping by and saying hello. Scott P's out there. AWAG, gun-loving Grandpa Stanley. What's up, Buck? Joe Ziola's out there. Guitar Man Pete. Seven Wonders. Tardot's out there. What's up, Tardot? He's out of the dungeon for a little bit. They let him out. Gizzard Gary's over on the YouTube side as well. Let's see. Rich White, the 1% is out there. What's up, 1%? And Guy that comments, what's up? Let's see here. Off the X, what's up, Lance? My home diggity from my hometown. We shoot a lot together. So Snob's wife is out there. AWAG, I think I said AWAG, but if I didn't, AWAG's in the hizzy. Let's see here. There's a pretty good discussion going on. I like that. I like that. If I missed anyone, I apologize. Like I said, go ahead, and Jen Davis is out there. Hey, Jen. Let's see here. Did I miss anybody? Southpaw RX is out there. Local 223 is out there. Let's see here. M-W Tactical Gun Websites. Michael Sands is out there. Vanessa Kitty, hello. That guy's wife, hello. Gunpowder Beauty, hello. And Texas Blades is out there. What's up, man? Let's see here. Calaveras is out there all the way from behind enemy lines in California. He says fake news. It is fake news. Kingpin out there. David Bowling. David, quick shout out to him, was the winner of the January 2019 Drill of the Month. Congratulations. Sandhill Shooters is out there. Nighthog's out there. Ozzy, the Metal God Orsborn, is out there. So if I miss you guys, I apologize. If you haven't said anything, please say something in the chat. If you guys want to get a hold of us and ask us questions throughout the show, please tag one of us in the chat below by using the @ sign in our name, or you can email it to live@ghosttactical.us, or if you like the texting, you can send a text to 530. Oh, crap. I didn't even remember the damn phone number here. 530-36-GHOST or 530-364-4678. I don't even remember my own phone number, so it is what it is. Let's give a quick shout-out and run through the panel real quick. We got some special guests here, but from South Carolina, we got Magic Mike himself, fresh off the stage in Las Vegas. What's up, Magic Mike?
Not too much. Had a beautiful day in South Carolina. Went to the range, lived it up a little bit. But if you don't mind, I want to go down my list and give a few shout outs.
Yeah, go for it. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to give a special shout out to Walther, Proper, CAE Transfer, The Gun Cleaner LLC, and Venture Gear Tactical. So, I can never thank these guys enough for everything they do with everything I'm doing, we're doing as the gun community. So I definitely want to give them a big ups because I do push their stuff, their product, their words, their message, all on Instagram and Facebook.
There you go. There you go. Well, welcome to the show. Ashley's out there with GunStreamer. What's up, Ashley? How are you? From Arizona, the Godfather himself. What's up, G-Webs?
Not much. Thanks for the invite.
Always love having you. And from Texas, the Tactical Leprechaun himself. Once again, we sent him the wrong link. Even told him we were going live on Thursday this week, and he still showed up. So he's here to stay, guys. He's here to stay. What's up, Clovertac?
I would like to give some shout outs too, please.
Absolutely. Let's just make it a shout out show.
I want to thank Twinkies and Hostess and General Mills and Krispy Kreme.
I'm surprised you didn't mention Lucky Charms, bro.
Well, General Mills in general.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
I can actually say it shows.
What?
That's wrong, Mike.
Oh, that's messed up, yo. Wow. Shots across the bow. This ought to be interesting.
No, we gotta
show tonight.
get the debate going. We gotta get the
String
debate going. You know what I'm
String
saying?
bean over there throwing.
Not all of us are blessed to be 6'5", bro.
Yeah, String bean throwing shade, ain't he?
Yeah, he is.
Hey, I mean, I can still hold it down about 11, 12 minutes on a 2-mile run.
Good for you. I use a car, so I don't have to run 2 miles anymore.
So
if I have to run 2 miles,
that doesn't impress me. I can do it in 9.
I bet you could. I bet you could.
Yeah.
All right, so let's bring in
the
mystery voice and the mystery guest. It's a good friend of mine. Hung out quite a bit at SHOT Show, and we're awesome. We're very happy to have her. She is from Washington State, and she has We the Female. Welcome, Kerry Slone. Thank you for coming on.
Hello, this is my first live doing this, so
you're kidding. Oh
no. I've done some lives on my Instagram, but this is it. I'm you guys are taking it from me, my first right here.
Oh, yeah, I'm not going to touch that one.
if you're gonna have a first podcast appearance, it's got to be on the most unprofessional podcast on the internet. So
that's correct.
Well, it was either you or Zeke Stout, because that's probably a close second, and I'm going to be doing his. It looks like maybe in March, but
well,
he's pretty. Have you ever met his co-host?
Yes.
Vanessa Mandrell. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay. I know who it was. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, she and I are going to be a lot of trouble together on that.
Yeah, you guys are going to have fun. Zeke might not get too many words in. Just saying.
He should know better.
Yeah, he should. So let's kind of get kicked off. And what I want to do is, like I said, guys, if you have any questions for any of us, especially Kerry, as we're talking, please tag one of us or email them or text them. We'll make sure we get those out. But let's bring Kerry back in. And for those of you, for everyone out there that may not know who you are or what you're doing, please give us a little background on who you are, where you came from, and talk with the female a little bit.
Well, I'm not really sure what exactly you're wanting specifically. So
just tell us about yourself a little bit.
Okay. Well, I'm a business owner, and I've been a business owner here in a small town in Washington for about 20 years or so. And I'm a domestic violence survivor from about 13 years ago. And how I ended up in this world, which has been less than, what am I looking at now? Maybe a little over 3 months. 3 months ago is, I know you are all familiar with our Initiative 1639 here in Washington. And I read through all like 30 pages of it a couple of times and realized that how some of that language was written, which is really not well, was putting domestic violence victims in a pretty bad position with medical waiver rights and some other, nothing independent of each other, but when they all start layering on top of each other is, when you're looking at the bigger picture, it kind of became an issue. So I was encouraging people to read it, to not vote for it. Nothing super active, but on November 7th, right after it passed, the next morning, I was, I just was really upset. I mean, it was almost, I hate using that word trigger because it's just kind of become a
right.
A thing. But I was upset, and I was actually kind of traumatized by it. And I just kind of poured out my heart on my Facebook page and said, for those of you that voted for this, I said, I don't think you realize what you just did to domestic violence victims. If a domestic violence victim has PTSD or depression and or medical history at all, based on how the language is written in this law, they could be denied the ability to purchase a firearm. And I said, I really wish that y'all would have read it. And a lot of people responded. I ended up putting it on my my Instagram later that day, because I received such a response on Facebook, and I just let it go, didn't think anything of it. Well, somebody tagged Colin Noir, and he found it and shared it. And so the joke in my house is that I'm the accidental activist, because I just got thrown straight into activism. So I got thrown straight into activism with this whole deal. And I'm okay with that. I have no problem with it, because I've been wanting to work with domestic violence victims in some capacity for a while, being one and being a survivor, and kind of beating the odds, actually, with statistically speaking, with being able to kind of recover and things. But this one really pissed me off. And so I ended up with DMs and emails and all of this stuff coming in from people, particularly women that were domestic violence survivors, that said, thank you for being our voice. And I'm like, whose fucking voice am I? I don't know. When did this start? So I, at that point, it was, okay, the universe said, you need to do this. So interestingly enough, the activism side of this was not something that I started out with, because after Parkland last year, I actually started forming the idea for We the Female, which is the nonprofit organization that I started. And that was more just understanding that there was a gap for women's personal security and gun education. And I wasn't really sure what that looked like. And so I had spent almost a year just kind of quietly, forming that, going to other people's classes. I went to Maj's class just to kind of get an idea of what they were doing, and how I could manifest my vision in a similar way. And so after everything just boom, in like 1 week just came together like this. So the entire idea and the concept for the nonprofit came together. I ended up doing all this activism work. So, and here I am, and I didn't even know that SHOT Show existed. And Ken Scott from over at Provectus, I talked to him because I kind of got in a little pissing match with AWR Hawkins on social media.
How'd that go for you?
He's apparently well enough, because he actually started ignoring me after talking down to me like I was a dumb woman. Yeah. So, and that was a big moment for me when I realized that there's a gap in communication, not only for women in this community, but there's a gap in communication in how the gun community is communicating with the rest of the world. Because at that point I was in like 2 weeks. So I was still I wasn't a gun community member, really. Not that I am now, but, well, maybe a little bit, but, and I was like, all right, this is really pissing me off. And so Ken was somebody that I had talked to a little bit, just, through social media, and I talked to him, and he was very good about explaining some of that, like validating basically my concerns about the gap in that conversation. So that's when I really hit it hard, with the understanding that we can't keep communicating in the 2A community the way that it's been going on.
So let me ask you this real quick. Now that you've basically been thrown into the deep end very, very quickly with taking your activism to the gun community. I know that you were everywhere, SHOT Show. You were talking with a lot of the heavy hitters, and that's really great. Now that you've had SHOT Show and you've got to meet some of these people, now what is your take on where the female lies in our gun community?
God, man, this fucking question every time. You and Cheryl both.
I know, but that's our job.
Y'all trying to get me in trouble with this, huh?
No.
Yes.
The reason why I asked it is because you bring a really interesting.
Sorry.
you have an interesting perspective on this. We talked about it during SHOT Show,
Yeah.
It's a really good one.
So understand that before anybody tries to come at me and cut my head off, because believe me, I'm not somebody you want to come at. Trust me. Let me just say that I'm speaking from the experience of a woman who has entered this community, 7, right? So 12 months ago, or 3 months ago. So this is my initial perception. And before anybody loses their shit, you need to understand that if you want to bring women into this community, understand guns, I'm not the only woman that's seeing it this way. And so that's something that needs to be thought about. So what I came to discover, or so far have discovered, now I'm learning and meeting different women, and broadening that, I'm seeing that there's some in between, but essentially for the most part, there are two groups. There's like this gun bunny culture that exists, and then there was like these, like the tactical girls and like the competitive shooters and the ones that do all the heavy training, or they own gun stores themselves, like Cheryl, she has, AZ firearms. And but there was nobody that was really in the middle that was really heavily activist, constitutionally based, educated. Not that they don't know the Constitution, but like that's my swim lane. My swim lane is more that activism side of it, and that, I can't sit here and chop it up with you guys about scopes. I don't know them. You know what I mean? I still don't even know all the manufacturers yet. But I do understand the racist background of gun control laws, and I understand the sexist background of gun control laws, and I understand how those two things have been manipulated for not only Black communities, just minority communities in general, but particularly in women. And that is a piece that I've kind of noticed is lacking a little bit more in the gun community. So here I am. I'm a mom with a gun, basically, is what it comes down to. And for me, I can go to the range, and I can, I know how to fire it because I got to go to range day. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Thank you to, I think Chad is watching from Prize Gunner. He was the one that kind of babysat me through that whole thing. And, but the 2AO guys were great. They took me out. But I mean, I knew how to use the gun that I carry every day. I know how to use the guns that I had because they're my tools, and that I use to defend my home, and that I use to defend myself when I'm out. But I couldn't go out there and learn all these other manufacturers and all their little tweaks and all this kind of stuff. That was not my thing. So that's basically, if you want to bring women into this community, I'm that 90% of those women. I'm that mom who goes to, Target and wants to understand how to keep myself safe and keep my family safe. So with We the Female, that's kind of one of the things that we do with We the Female, is we don't teach women how to use guns. There's tons of y'all out there teaching people how to use guns. I teach women how not to need a gun to begin with. Nice. When they walk into a place, until they have to. And then when they have to, how to cover their asses. Because make no mistake about it, the government will look for a reason to make you an example. So if you got to pull that trigger, you better cover your ass. Yep. So we go over all of the legals of that, and not just the legals, the legalese of it, but the morality. I mean, we all think that we can be badasses, but a lot of you guys are veterans out there and active combat and stuff. But the minute you got to pull a trigger on somebody, that's a whole different game, and I don't think that that's addressed very much either. So we're all about teaching personal defense, situational awareness, particularly in areas that women go to every day. And I think that conversation needs to come more into the gun community, particularly with women. How was that for a really long answer?
That was awesome. And that's like 7 minutes shorter than I thought it was going to be for the initial thing. So no,
I'm taking notes. I'm remembering your smart ass.
I know you are. Before we move on, I want to bring in Mike and G and Clover. Do you have any questions right off the bat for Kerry?
The only thing I want to say was it was a pleasure meeting you, and the conversation we had. But the conversation we had, it wasn't as long-winded as Ghost. But we actually had a great conversation, especially when we was talking at Maj's event.
Yeah.
But do you care to talk about how you felt, because you was like right behind me rooting on every time he said certain things?
I feel Maj's. Yeah, I feel Maj's vibe a lot. I get it. I get it deeply. Because I hold the same philosophies. Now, while my organization itself is very much about wanting to teach personal security and responsibility and keeping women safe, fundamentally me, I'm a straight patriot. I mean, the people in my house are patriots. When I stepped into this, you know, I have a 16-year-old, and when I stepped into this whole world, I told my daughter, I said, you know, Emma, things are going to get hot, and I'm going to be gone a lot. And this is, you know, apparently my trajectory went so quickly this way that I knew shit was going to get real and really fast. And she just looked at me and she said, Mom, you're meant to do this. This is supposed to be what you're supposed to do. And, you know, and she gets it. She gets that this may put me in a position at some point where I may not be here, you know, whether legally or whatever, because I'm in that fight that deep, and not a lot of women are. But I would rather be in this fight to fight for her liberties later, so that she knows I'm leaving her that legacy, even if that means I'm not here. Because at some point I'm not going to be here anyway. So I'm really passionate about people understanding the bigger picture of what's going on with the Second Amendment. And, you know, we think about it in terms of being able to protect ourselves and our families. And a lot of people get stuck in that. But y'all need to realize the federal government just upheld a law that tells you that that the police are not obligated to protect you. So, and that's not this isn't the first time. So this happened after Parkland, but this isn't the first time that this has happened, right? Because this happened a few years back. The kids from Parkland sued. For those that don't know, and y'all better know if you're in the 2A community, the kids from Parkland sued the police department, essentially saying that they didn't protect them. Well, the court there took the side of the cops, saying that they didn't have an obligation. It was appealed, and a federal district court upheld that. So now you have a government telling you that they don't have to protect you, but then turning around and doing what they need to do to take those firearms that you do protect yourself with out of your hands. That ain't a coincidence.
Yep.
And so y'all need to think about that. And that's where I have to kind of keep, like on my social media platforms, like stilettos and shotguns, she's kind of that little rebel kind of character, and then teaching my education and keeping that on the separate side. But I'm not playing with that with people, and they need to understand that this is way bigger than you being able to defend your house with a semi-automatic rifle. And sitting behind your keyboards, talking out of your asses ain't gonna do it, you know? And everybody needs to stop thinking federally, right? Because everybody's so obsessed with this federally. This starts with your local legislators. Get out and vote for your state representatives. Change who they are, and stop voting partisan, because they're all in on it. See, y'all gonna get my aluminum foil hat going.
Yeah, we get that from time to time. Clover, G, do you guys have any comments or anything you guys want to bring up right now?
I guess not. No.
Nope. Okay,
Sorry.
Clover, how about you?
I was just letting it flow more than anything, but yeah, there was a lot of mic drop moments there for sure.
Yes, there was.
Totally agree. The one thing that annoys me, and you know, we can focus more on the women's side. That's obviously what we're talking about, but it's community wide. Everybody wants to get on and shout, "Shall not be infringed," and shout, "The government's horrible," and blah blah blah, and they don't show up for rallies, and they don't when you. I was just as Ghost knows talking the other day about, and I got a video coming out on it soon, but about writing the directors of the board of the NRA. And you've got people that, you know, something as simple as typing a letter and mailing it off. Could it make a difference? It could. Will it? We don't know unless we try. But they wanted to gripe that, no, that won't work. Oh, no. Well, you don't know until you try. Are you so lazy that you can't write and mail a letter? So I totally agree with the sentiment that, you know, all of us need to be doing more. Yeah,
and I think pretty much everyone in this room has had a conversation with a particular board member of NRA, and we won't bring his name up, but he's a great guy, and we all enjoy him, and everyone kind of knows my stance in the NRA, and obviously I'm not a member of the NRA right now, But the conversations that I've had with this board member over the last few weeks, and especially at SHOT Show, and I think Mike talked to him this morning, and Clover and Kerry, and I think G's even talked to him. So, I mean, there are people that are in the NRA board right now that are trying to do some good work. And like I said, I may not be a member right now, but ever having talk to this person and understanding some of the things that he and others are trying to get done within the inside of the NRA, I'm not going to lie, I do see a pathway that could lead to me coming back and support the NRA. And I told him, I said, it's not the NRA that I don't like. It's the ILA. More importantly, it's Wayne LaPierre and Chris Cox, that I don't think that they're leading and guiding the NRA as a whole down the path that which people would want. Understanding now that there are things that are happening behind the scenes that most of the public are not privy to. And I enjoyed the fact that he was blunt with me and he understood my message as well. And he was understanding, and he said, we need your help, and we need Clover's. We need everybody's help to pass the message on. And Clover's right. It starts with getting board members. The same thing as your state and local representatives. It starts at the NRA level. If you're going to complain about the NRA and you have a board member, make sure that they're actually going to the meetings and they're actually voting, because there are many of these NRA board members that are not showing up to meetings and they're not voting. If they're not doing their job, then find someone that will, and maybe that's how you start to change the NRA. So that being said, what I do want to kind of talk about real quick is something that was been emailed to me and been said, and actually was mentioned earlier, about women not being able to defend themselves from the ages of 18 to 20.
Yeah.
And I have a 21-year-old daughter who carries, but you know, when she was an 18-year-old freshman in college, and for basically 3 years of college, she was at a campus with literally no way to defend herself aside from a knife or whatever. But we all know that the gun is the great equalizer. And is there anything that you want to touch upon when talking about women and young women being able to maybe drop that age to 18 across the board, not just for women, but for everybody, for concealed carry to 18, because there are a lot of college students and young women that are basically vulnerable to society?
You talking to me?
Yes, I am.
You want me to go off on us?
Let's go
really?
on it.
You're trying to make up that other 7 minutes.
Hey, it's your show, kid.
Don't tell me that. You don't even want to. Don't go there. So 1639, that's one of the things they actually passed here, was the buying the firearms. You have to be 21 to buy a rifle here now. And that one really gets me. I did a podcast. I did a interview with Polite Society podcast yesterday, and they had a young woman on. Embarrassed to say I can't remember her name because I was still not doing well in my head. I can look it up for you guys because I want to get you her name, so I'll look it up before we go. But she was assaulted twice on campus, and at under 21. And the camp down in Florida, and the campus, of course, is still a gun-free zone. But now, at the time, the law hadn't been in place, but now they just went through the same thing that we did here, and so now she can't buy a gun to protect herself. And there's a lot of college students and a lot of women out there that are being marginalized with this. And I want to be fair, and let me say, I'm a domestic violence victim, and I'm also a feminist in this community, which is a whole other shit show that I'm learning that I have to smack some people about. We'll do that in segment 2.
Yeah.
There are men that that are victims as well, and they're actually even more marginalized, right? Because they've got the whole stigma of coming out as domestic violence victims, and that's a problem. But the fact that I struggle with this just because the fundamental logic of it is so fucking ridiculous to me, that you can join the military and be sent to goddamn Syria to fucking kill people, but you can't protect yourself in your own house. I can't. I have to white girl it. I can't even.
I understand.
There's nothing logical about it whatsoever. And I ended up in a pissing match on Facebook, which this is why I don't like being on Facebook, in my local community, about a woman who was defending, because we got a whole new shit show of stuff coming up right now with guns, and they're essentially trying to ban almost all semi-automatic rifles in this state. assault rifles. And this woman started going off, and the one I brought up, the women 18 to 21 thing, she never even touched it. So I made sure to bring that up. I said, I see that you're sitting there talking out of your ass about all this other stuff, but I also noticed that your ass ain't saying nothing about girls, young women being able to defend themselves. So we're just going to leave this conversation here because clearly you're a fucking idiot. And that was pretty much it.
Well, and I think there's a lot to be said about something that people are afraid to touch. Yeah. And it's like you said, if you can join the military and defend your country in battle at 18 years old, but yet you're not allowed to defend yourself in college or in public, the hypocrisy runs deep in this country. Just saying. Yeah,
it makes me crazy, and that's where people don't get it, right? So I gotta put my hat back on, my little aluminum foil hat. That's where people aren't getting it. There's no logic to this. So they're blowing smoke up your ass using victims and domestic violence victims are one of the biggest pawns in the gun control game. I mean, the biggest, right? I mean, they use us constantly. And for so many of these other reasons that they're trying to justify their gun control laws, but some of them just literally have no logic behind them whatsoever. And when you ask someone about it, like this gal that I was talking to, she kept going off about what the law was saying. And I asked her, I said, no, you tell me what your definition of an assault rifle is. She says, well, I don't need to. And I said, because you don't fucking have one, because you're parroting exactly what the goddamn state is telling you what you think it is. So until you can tell me what you perceive as an assault rifle, you need to stop talking out of your ass. Or at the very least, take this to a private conversation and help me educate you. Even more importantly, I'll let you come over to my house and I will pull out, a Remington rifle that shoots the same caliber, as my AR does, but she didn't want to hear that because they don't want to hear it. And that's where the government is using those people as a way to manipulate the gun control law so that they can get what they want, which is de-arming citizens.
I really do wish that you were a little more passionate. I wish that you would, have a little passion when you talk. I don't feel that you really mean it. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm hoping that maybe one day that I can be passionate about this topic.
That's right. G, I know that you've got something you want to bring, maybe a little off topic, but go ahead.
Well, I just wasn't used to so much dead air on this show. So before, when you were asking questions, I was distracted because I was looking at the Instagram page, which I didn't know there was one. So I did a quick search online and I didn't find a website. So Ghost didn't do a good job of starting the show off. How do we contact you? Where do you?
Well, that was going to be towards the end.
Well, but some of us are interested in finding out about We the Female project and stuff while we're talking. So we've been exploring it, and that's what I was doing. I was looking at the Instagram. So we found the Instagram and we found the Facebook. But is that what your primarily your presence is on the platforms?
So because Noir shared that post on Instagram, and he's got close to 500,000 followers on Instagram, that was where that ended up being my biggest platform. So my personal, so this mouth is stilettos and shotguns, which is, I'm finding that I'm trying to juggle and wrap my brain around all this. I'm, kind of have these two different identities, or like my friend calls it brands, kind of created out, because obviously some of that fierce anti-government kind of content is not necessarily the vision or the mission statement of We the Female, and I don't want it to be. So if you want to follow the unfiltered Kerry, that's Stilettos and Shotguns. And I just last night finally got off my ass and started an actual public page for that on Facebook as well. We the Female, you have to find me at wethefemale.net instead of .org, because it's a OPI nail polish color and somebody's bought up all of the domains. So until that becomes open with .org, we're at wethefemale.net, and we just have a landing page there now. Until I had so many people come out to volunteer to help me with this, and they've just been amazing. And I want to make sure that I mention them before we're done this evening. But so one of them threw together, I actually met him at Maj's Black Guns Matter event, and his name's Alvin, and he's great. So he threw together a page for me with no experience. And so what he did is he just put a speech up there that I gave before I left for SHOT Show. I was asked to speak at our Capitol. And so my speech is up there, but one of the biggest statements in that is the one that's, legislators have no business telling us that they support a woman's right to choose when they don't support a woman's right to choose how she defends herself. And that speech goes into not only kind of a little bit of my story about how the system failed me as a victim, but also the way that they continue to fail me with their gun laws as opposed to dealing with their broken system for domestic violence. So, and you can find that at wethefemale.net. I started a YouTube, like I got an account, but it's a little intimidating for me. So not quite there yet. I do have a few projects in the works that I'll let y'all know about, but anyway, this is all new to me.
Did you open up a GunStreamer account?
No.
You need to go open up a GunStreamer account.
What is that? I don't even know what that is.
GunStreamer,
Right,
GunStreamer.com.
so
They're the only two-way platform out there that's awesome. They're really cool people. They're friends of all of ours, and they were at SHOT Show, and they're really doing great work. So go check out GunStreamer.com.
All right. Well, somebody better send me that later, and somebody watching. And Praise Gunners chat, if you're watching, you should make it
Ashley wants to. Yeah, I think Ashley wants to talk to you, and Ashley's one of the 4 people that run GunStreamer. So she was out here also asking about you. So
hi, Ashley. Yeah,
we'll get you hooked up with her.
I have no idea what that is, but it's so there's 2 sides of this that I've
it's
come to notice.
YouTube for guns. How about that?
Oh, cool.
No,
Okay.
I actually say GunStreamer is going to take over the YouTube platform. So we keep saying YouTube right now. In a couple of years, we're going to all say GunStreamer. So I think GunStreamer is going to push YouTube out the way.
I thought that was Pornhub.
It's GunStreamer. Get it right. You're so 1980. GunStreamer.
Sorry.
All right, I'll be remiss not to mention GunTube.org. Sorry, Night Strike. My bad.
What's that?
GunTube.org is another two-way platform that one of our friends, Night Strike, is working on. So it's called GunTube.org. Check that out as well.
All right, somebody's gonna have to send me all this crap.
I'll take care. I'll send you an email with all 17 different links.
Thanks,
check out. So what's next?
For me, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah. So what's next for We the Female? I know that you've kind of jumped in, like I said, head deep into the deep end with the 2A community. But what is next as far as, are you trying to take We the Female, their platform and your platform? Are you going to try to take the show on the road, or what's your next plan?
I am taking it on the road. Yeah. So I had a lady reach out to me that I know that wants me to do a workshop for her here in town. So the original idea when I sat down with Alice, one of my volunteers, that girl, that's who you want. That she is a badass bitch. She builds all of her own shit. She is no joke. She works for one of the gun manufacturers that's here in Washington, which kills me, by the way. Side note, we have, I think it's like a $4 billion industry in fucking Washington for guns, because we're a big hunting place. And so we've got lots of gun manufacturers and businesses and stuff here. So why they want to, whatever. Anyway, it's fucking Seattle is what it is. But, I'm serious. You think I'm playing? And Paul Allen and all that shit. Anyway, where was I going with this?
I wish you would just speak your mind, please. Please.
Okay, so we sat down and we started developing the structure for these workshops that we want to do, and we have those down. And when I got back from Gun Show, I was actually going to meet with an advocacy group out in one of our smaller counties, start working with their domestic violence victims specifically, because while we want to encompass, all people, particularly women, with personal security, education, and defense, I wanted to really focus on helping domestic violence victims, and more importantly, single mothers in high crime areas, which is something that I'm going to be talking to Maj about too, because obviously that's going to be a higher minority I don't even, can you even say minority anymore? I mean, I don't even like that, because that's not, nobody's really a minority anymore, honestly. But, you know, but the Black community, Latino community, you know, whatever, in their areas, you know, some of those inner urban areas tend to be, you know, high crime, you know, lower income areas, and there's a lot of single moms there. I grew up in a similar area myself. I grew up very, very poor in a really bad area. So I understand the value of a woman understanding what they need to know to protect themselves in those areas. So that was kind of where we originally went, but we're finding that there are so many gun instructors out there, as well as just other women wanting me to, even just like, you know, I had one woman, she says, if I have friends come over and will you come to my house and do a work? I was like, sure, why not? You know, but I've had enough overwhelmingly positive response from the gun community with people wanting me to come into their areas and work with them, you know, if they're instructors or they have ranges and things. And so it looks like what we're going to do is just start putting out some classes and, you know, some dates for classes, and letting some of these organizations help promote me, and then bring, or me or us, the organization, I'll be the one doing the classes. But, and then I'll be traveling to these different areas. And then, like you and I had talked, you know, we had all talked off air about, and then giving the opportunity for them to, for the ones that want to learn how to use a gun, to partner up with the instructor in that particular area, and then they can train. So right now I'm funding everything myself. I've been really reluctant to start. Yes, We the Female is a 501c3. Right. But I've been really reluctant to start everything up for donations, even though I have been getting emails and private messages asking me where they could donate. And it's probably going to get to be time, because it gets pricey doing this off of your own.
Yes, it does.
Off of your own dime. But at the same time, I want people to know how serious I am about this and how passionate I am about this, that I'm willing to pay for it out of my own pocket.
I don't think anyone's going to question that you're passionate about this. Just listen to you talking. Like I said, the very first time I met you and we talked, I was like, okay, yeah, she's got some passion, which is great, because we need more passion, you know?
Thank you. And I think you need it from women.
No doubt. No doubt.
Honestly, this community really needs some more women.
They do. Now, Clover, I know you said you had a question earlier. I want to come to you and let you ask away.
Yeah, Kerry had mentioned about the broken system, you know, when it comes to domestic violence and all that. So I had a question when it comes to like risk, you know, what is it, protection orders and stuff like that. People say red flag laws. I know that you admit that the system is broken, and a lot of people on the left of the argument use that. They also claim that the system is broken, but then they want these, you know, draconian, anonymous reporting issues, you know, and laws and regulations in effect. So I'm curious as to where you see it's broken, and if you've thought about any solutions on how you could fix that without imposing on Second Amendment rights and what private, what am I thinking? Like, you know, your medical records and your private privacy issues, I guess.
Yeah, and you know, it's a sticky subject, and I get that. So just as a note on like the red flag law thing. So one of my volunteers, one of the great examples of this is, you know, when she was with her abuser or trying to get away from her abuser, he would call the cops and tell the cops that she was suicidal, even when she wasn't. She had guns in the house. So she's got those evals on her record. Well, now we have this red flag law here in Washington State. So all it takes is for that motherfucker to call up, you know, and be like, she's suicidal, and boom, her guns are gone. And now this guy's got access to her without a way to defend herself. So that's one of the big flaws in the system. You know, the other thing is addressing, you know, red flag laws can automatically, they can be so arbitrary. I mean, that's a great example. Or you just get pissed off at somebody and you call them and tell them that they're unstable, and then the guns are gone because there's no questions asked. You know, especially, I mean, this is a big one for veterans to me, because, you know, a lot of veterans have PTSD. I'm diagnosed with PTSD. I know what it's like. I went through the EMDR treatment. That's a controversial one. And I'm fine now. At one point during treatment, I was probably okay looking back on it, but a lot of them aren't, you know, and And so I get that there needs to be some sort of accountability there. I do not think that it needs to be in the hands of arbitrary decision-making just because somebody decides they're going to get pissed off at somebody, or they get in a fight with their husband or boyfriend or whatever, that automatically their guns can be taken away. That's why I'm a big fan of Walk the Talk and what Michael Sadini's doing with the destigmatization of mental illness. And he doesn't say it as much as I do, but the gun control groups, I don't like to refer to liberal or conservative, because we as a United States citizenry need to get rid of left and right, because the minute that we get rid of left and right and start voting down the middle, everybody's gone. And people forget that, and they know that you've forgotten it, because that's when they started all that bullshit with, well, if you vote for the third party member, that's a vote for so-and-so. You know what? Fuck you. No, it's not. It's a vote for a third party. It's a vote for my conscience. So sorry, that's a whole digression on that. But the minute it's like he, mentioned liberal, that shit needs to stop completely. Both sides, red, blue, left, right, fucking whatever. All of that shit needs to stop, and people need to stop voting on both sides, because y'all are being manipulated and brainwashed into doing it out of fear, because they know that they're weak, and they know that they don't have the strength or the right leadership. So then they start pulling that fear-mongering bullshit in. Well, you gotta vote because otherwise that person's gonna get in. Nah, it's because they know, and both sides know that we're scared. So where was I going with this now?
I don't know. No, there's some talk out there about civil war, and I want to touch on this real quick because it gets my blood boiling at times. I understand the sentiment that there are a lot of people that are not very happy with the way that it seems like the gun laws are going. But let me say this. When we say civil war, that just helps the other side think of us as crazy, tinfoil hat wearing idiots that just want to break away and have guns. What we need to understand is if we ever get to the civil war stage, we haven't done our jobs. We have to be able to talk to these people and make them understand that we are normal, law-abiding citizens that respect the firearm, that use it on a daily basis to protect not only ourselves, but our family and any other bystanders. The problem that I have with the Civil War talk is this. If it leads to that, we're just ripping up America even more, dividing us even more than we already are, and we will probably not come back from that for a long time. Second of all, now this is going to piss off a lot of people out there, and I apologize if you don't like it, so be it. It's my damn show. There are so many other more important things in this country that we have problems with than just the Second Amendment. So if we're basing a civil war off of the love of guns or the respect of guns or the gospel of the Second Amendment, then we're being so short-sighted in what we believe. There are so many other things that we need to also focus on than just the Second Amendment. So the fact that people are talking civil war really scares me, because you're giving these other people ammunition to come at us saying, see, they are crazy. They're exactly who we think they are.
Exactly.
That really upsets me.
And let's be honest here, okay? Carrie's going to be honest. Carrie's going to I'm going to call your asses out. Because most of y'all that are sitting there talking at your asses about civil war are fucking pussies. And you ain't going to do it anyway. So I ain't even trying to hear you, because you guys look like idiots. Bottom line.
Now, there is a question.
So go back to your basement and play your fucking Call of Duty and shut your pie hole, because you probably don't even know how to put a fucking clip in an AR. So don't even, that shit, the minute that you pull that shit out of your ass, I'm fucking done with you. I'm not even listening to you, because you look like an idiot and you make us look like an idiot. You want to see the gun community change. The gun community needs to start taking personal responsibility for our actions, and we need to start being more active. Get out from behind fucking Instagram and stop talking out of your asses. I
do have a question for you. And before I move on to this question, G-Webs, Mike, Clover, do you have anything to add on the Civil War debate?
She pretty much covered me a lot more eloquently than I was going to say. But what I was going to point out, and she's already said it. What I was going to point out is we kind of started this conversation with motivating people and getting people involved. If we can't get people to write letters and show up for rallies, are you seriously think somebody's going to stand there in the line of fire with a rifle? Come on,
exactly,
not happening.
I'll be right back.
G,
I gotta go check on something right quick.
You got it. Mike G, do you have anything that you want to bring up? It doesn't have to be the Civil War thing, but just in general.
No, I'm just saying, like, what we all need to do is, everybody thinks when you pay money to your NRA or whatever 2A organization that you pay these people to represent us on a legislative platform, it doesn't stop with you just paying your money. You have to get out there. You have to write, go visit, hands-on with people at a local level, and work your way all the way up to the federal level. So the whole Civil War piece, if it gets to that point, then we didn't do what we were supposed to do. So instead of sitting back and everybody just talking, get active. Go write your representative, call your representative, have a conversation, tell them to come to your church, go to Starbucks or wherever you want to go, and have a conversation with these people and make them do their job and get active so we can all enjoy our rights. And it doesn't have to go down that course of Civil War.
Right. And Seven Wonders out there says, Ghost, are you saying that if they eventually make all guns illegal, you just give up? What would you do or recommend in that situation? And that's a great question, because there's a lot of people that are black and white. I'm not either black or white. I live in the gray in my life. Okay. I choose not to be one or the other, because we have to understand that there are a lot of different values and a lot of different angles to come across this. If it should ever come down to all guns are illegal, which I don't think that'll ever happen.
It'll never happen.
Truly don't. But if it ever did come down to it, the question is are they going to be able to enforce it?
No.
And enforcing laws is a complete difference than passing laws, because the lawmakers can sit on their high horses and their ivory towers in DC and at the state capitals passing these different laws, but they're not the ones that are going to have boots on the grounds trying to enforce those laws. And so even though there might be laws, you have to understand that we have checks and balances. Okay, whether or not that is considered constitutional or not makes no difference.
Yeah.
The enforcement of these laws, you're going to ask your friends, your brothers and sisters that wear a badge to come to your home and take your guns. Do you think they're going to go take that many hundreds of millions of guns? I find that very difficult. So I don't even want to talk about what if there's all guns are illegal, because one, I don't think it's ever going to happen. And maybe I'm the optimist in the room. I don't know. But two, you're talking enforcing 300 million guns, 300 million guns that we know of. It's probably more than that. But you're going to tell 300 million guns to just go away? I mean, I don't know. I just don't see it. Go ahead.
Let me throw something in here real quick, because
Sure.
for the last, I don't know, quite a few minutes, I've noticed a theme, and I think we started out on a fairly positive note, and I think, in motivating people and other stuff. And I think that's where we win.
Mm-hmm.
We don't win by
Right.
continuing to talk Civil War and they're taking away all the guns. We need to push the positive. Nothing historic has ever happened by pushing a negative. It's always happened by pushing a positive. Martin Luther King said, "I have a dream, not I have a nightmare." Okay, we gotta be positive, stay positive, and that positivity hopefully will spread, and other people will pick up the fight.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There was
and that's
story, Gary. Go ahead.
Uh-huh.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that goes back to that personal responsibility in the community, and stop and talking all that ignorant shit that is going on, and come and take it. And, it's that culture, it's that mentality that is exploited by gun control advocates, that make people, want to make people think that people that want guns are, nuts. And I get that all the time. Like, oh my God, why can't you just understand that, nobody's trying to take your guns, or, that you don't need this and that, this kind of thing. And that goes back to, we need to change the language that we are using within the community. And we need to change, not just with each other, but we need to change that conversation outside of there. And that's where I got in that pissing match with AWR Hawkins, actually. I know he's much bigger shit than me and probably wouldn't even remember that, but it was actually over, he had posted a picture of one of those gun sense moms. And y'all all saw the picture. I actually shared it on my social media, where she's holding the dummy gun up above her head. And, with the 4, safety points in the background. And I, at this point, right, I'm in like 2 weeks into this community. I don't even know who the fuck AWR Hawkins is, which I'm sure probably, bent him a little bit too, but whatever. So, and I go, well, he likes people to know who he is. Anyway, it's okay. It's all good. I know who he is now. So, and it wasn't just him, and it got a little misogynistic actually with some of the commenters in it. And I simply said, it was my own ignorance. I said, has anybody reached out to these people to be willing to just teach them the proper way to hold this class? And oh my God, you would have thought that I shit in the punch bowl at church. I mean, it was absolutely ridiculous the way that they treated me. And these people are absolutely unreasonable. And I said, kind of like you're being right now. I said, I'm not saying that I support them. I'm not saying I support what their agenda is. But if they're willing to sit here and hold a class about gun safety, it's my responsibility to make sure that they're holding that class properly. And the minute that I can approach these people with this perspective and say, look, I don't even want to get involved in your shit because I don't agree with it. But what I do see is that this is not happening the right way, and this needs to happen the right way. So at the very least, will you let me teach you this, XYZ, so that you can give that right information out later. And then just maybe 1 or 2 of those people will be willing to listen to you later, because you're actually not trying to be as big of an asshole as they are.
We got a super chat out there. Another one from Rick. I appreciate it. He says, our forefathers raised hell over a tea tax. They damn sure wouldn't put up with the crap that we have. And to a certain extent, that is true, because you have to understand that the forefathers put the Second Amendment in there for a specific reason. It was multifold. One of it is to preserve self-protection, but it's also protecting ourselves from a tyrannical government. It's not just a militia. It's all encompassing of what the firearm does for the human rights side of being an American citizen. So yeah, I think they would probably be upset that how we're handling it, but I think that how we're handling it needs to change. Once again, we've all talked about there are different hats and there's different sectors within our community. And until we can get along ourselves, we may have differences on how to do it, but surely we can all come together and say that something is worth fighting for. Now, can we not agree with how to get that done? Sure, but we shouldn't be bickering all the time. So now there was a question for you, Kerry. Seven Wonders out there says, earlier you were talking about not voting Democrat, Republican, not voting a party, and he wants to know, how would you suggest that how do we get people to get away from voting a party?
Well, first of all, you got to stop doing it.
There you go.
Bottom line, because I know your ass is doing it. You maybe not you specifically, whoever asked that question, but y'all are doing it. And so the minute that you start doing it is the minute that you can, with more conviction, be able to look at somebody else and tell somebody else that they need to stop doing it as well. And you're not going to do it on your fucking social media. And most of the time you're not going to do it on your social media is because you're in an echo chamber with people that agree with you, but that are still going to vote the way you're voting anyway, because you're still talking out your ass about it. So the thing is that you've got to get in. This is where these interpersonal relationships matter so much. And I don't give a shit what you think about Gary Johnson. Personally, I met the man. I met Bill Weld, and that dude had a better grip on what the fuck was going on than the media wanted you to think he did. I can tell you that, because I sat with him for over an hour and had a personal one-on-one conversation with him. So it's unfortunate that he got thrown under the bus the way he did. Presidential, no, but I voted for him because I was making a statement with my vote, and that was important to me. I had 45 converts from my manicuring table in my nail salon alone that either they or them and their whole families voted for Gary Johnson simply because they stopped to listen to me. That is where you start making the change. Everybody gets super overwhelmed wanting to change the fucking world. And I get it, I do too. But you're not going to change the world by talking out of your ass on Instagram. You want to reinforce your beliefs there, but you want to get people in a little bit at a time. And you've got to start having these conversations with people individually. And stop coming in at them hard like this, because they're not going to listen. Do you listen when somebody does it to you? No, you don't. You want to smack a kid in the head when they do that. So that's not the way that you want to do that. You want to most people will have some opening. You just have to listen to what that opening is and be able to identify and have some empathy for where they're coming from, and then show them from your perspective where there can be a change. And that's how you have to start making change, because you're not going to make it on, I mean, I shouldn't say that, because I've had a few people that were in this, fatalistic attitude about, well, we're not going to change the community. And I said, that's the attitude that's not going to change. And I had people DM me on social media and say, you're right. What can I do to start making a change? Well, my first answer is grassroots. Hold coffees in your town, but you got to push a button that pisses people off. Because how many of us know and have heard, especially through this last election, presidential election, nobody liked either one of them. Right? But so then that's when they started, and they knew it. And that's when they started in with that, well, but if you vote for Gary Johnson or you vote for Trump, you're voting for Hillary, and that whole bull, because they fucking knew that they're weak. They know they're weak. So we as a culture need to take back, they represent us. They are not our leaders. And the media is not going to lay off of that, because they're paid for. Half of them are all married to fucking, all these anchors are married to people working in Congress. So until we start changing our language with each other, it's not going to change. But the biggest thing is that y'all need to remember, they represent you. You pay them. So the minute that you start getting that in your head and you start speaking with your vote, they're not going to hear it, and they're not going to change, because they know they've got you.
Awesome stuff.
Sorry.
You're fine. No, I love it. I love it. G, you have anything you want to bring up?
That's all, exactly dead on. The only other thing is run for office. Put your money where your mouth is. Change government.
Yeah, run for office. Absolutely. If you want to run for office, do it. I mean, I absolutely believe that. It ain't my thing. I'd rather be a giant pain in a.
I wasn't ordering YouTube. I meant when people want to complain.
Oh yeah, no, exactly, yeah.
Let me just throw in there that Civil War thing just to address it. We have a system that survived a Civil War, so bring it.
You're advocating to bring on Civil War? Or did I misunderstand you?
No, he's saying he's not scared of it.
They're going to sit in their basements and complain about it. We have a system that survived a Civil war.
Yeah.
Right.
We have a system. So if you really think that's the way, gather troops and try. But I suspect you'd do better off gathering troops for a worthy cause that has some worth all that.
That's another button of mine. I get such a giggle out of when I watch the left. I don't like referring to left and right, because I'm definitely neither one. But
you also have to understand there are a lot of quote unquote Republicans that are obviously not pro-gun. There are many quote unquote liberals that are pro-gun.
That are super pro-gun.
So
the Liberal Gun Owners Association, they follow me, and I met with one of their leaders there at SHOT Show, and they're fiercely pro Second Amendment, and so that's that language. And I know who's big on that is Pincus is big on that. With the anti-liberal conservative conversation. And it's hard, because I get in that habit too, because I'm so indoctrinated into thinking that way and referring to those languages. And so I'm trying to even break myself of that habit. But for intensive purposes for this conversation, the liberal side in this, well, you're not going to be able to fight the military with your guns. And it reinforces to me how ignorant people are about the Constitution and what the military's purpose is, and that they don't realize that the military can take up action against the government if the military so feels that the government is not acting in the best interest of the citizens. Now, my boyfriend that just left, a little crushed over that. He was probably the best one in that spot. Yeah, I know you're a Marine. Ooh, yay, Semper Fi and all that shit. So, because Mattis was a Marine, and Mattis was that was one of the things that I really enjoyed about him.
Mm-hmm. I love Mattis.
Being there was because my husband got to meet him actually, and actually was chosen to personally brief him.
I'd love to have met
which is kind of a big deal. And I am very atypical officer's wife, but I totally am proud of him for that. But he's a pretty extraordinary dude. But he was definitely that guy. That's why I never, when he was placed there, I was like, that's exactly who we need, because if things go off the rails, he's the one that's going to make sure that the citizens are protected. And so I was a little bummed when he left, and that's a whole other conversation I'd like to have with you sometime.
Yeah, let's do that. There is a question out here that I want to bring up. It's from Casino Boss. This is for the entire panel. So I'm going to start with, I'm going to throw Mike out there first. All right, I'm going to let you contemplate this. But the question is all Casino Boss has to ask is, what are you going to do when they eventually knock on your door for your ammo, then your magazines, then all your guns? Are you going to write a letter? So I would like to kind of put this through the room, and can I get everyone's thought on this? I'm going to start with Mike, if you don't mind.
All right, I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat that again, because I was catching every other word. It's like some serious lag going on my end.
Oh, okay. It says, what are you going to do when they come door to door asking for your ammo, your magazines, and all of your guns? What are you going to do?
All right, so what I'm gathering is you're saying, what would I do if somebody was to come to my door asking for all my weapons?
That's what Casino. Yeah, that's what Casino Boss is asking out there.
Okay, so first of all, I wouldn't even open my door, and in the event of when it gets close to that situation, I got stash spots already in place. So before it even gets to that point, whereas you will come knocking on the door, I would already start, dispersing my stuff. Where in the event of, I'm not giving anything up, whereas I can get to it and use it if need be.
Well, first of all, they got to get in my door, like you said, and that would be the Fourth Amendment. So now, you're trying to come in and search in my house with no probable cause. That's going to be a problem. But honestly, like even right now, over half the counties in Washington State are not. The sheriffs have come out publicly saying that they're not going to enforce the unconstitutional 1639. I don't think. You know what? Maybe I'm optimistic. I don't see it happening. Because I think more cops, and certainly the military, they're not coming for your guns. They're not. They're going to try to legislate you out of them is what they're going to try to do. But so basically they're just getting ready to make a bigger black market for them with the legislation. But they don't have. The police departments right now are understaffed. They didn't even have this. They can't even get the fucking crackheads out of the goddamn park, or meth heads, or whatever they are nowadays. I'm old. Sorry, they were crackheads in my day, and they can't even get them out of the park because there's too many of them. What makes you think that they got time to come in and take a law-abiding citizen's guns away? They ain't got time for that shit. I ain't even worried about it. I think that's a little fear mongering, honestly.
That could be. I think so too. But G, what do you think?
Oh, I won't answer a question like that. That's crazy talk, and it's delusional. So how about every day we go live and we talk about gun stuff, and we encourage people to use their telephones to share what they do as gun owners out there, so that when politicians try to count gun owners as scapegoats, real people can go, well, my grandfather, that guy I know at school or work or church, is a gun owner, and he's certainly not like that. And we battle it by changing society the way it's been slowly changed by us sitting around and doing nothing. So if you want to talk about what we're going to do in some delusional fantasy, then let's talk about what we can do in real life. Challenge the question.
Great point. Clover, what about you?
Absolutely right.
I'll play with the caveat that I too think there is a myriad of reasons as to why that would never happen.
Right.
But let's say legislation is passed. They have garnered whatever force necessary to do this. They come to my door. Yes, I hand them over. If I have stuff there that they find, and they more than welcome to take them at that point and go for a couple of reasons. Number one, I can't continue to fight, and I cannot even flee if I'm 6 feet under.
That's right.
So that's number one. The Constitution, of course, everything is about the founding of this country is about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and life is number one. So, at the end of the day, when it comes down to, okay, do I want people to live, or do I want to have my guns? I don't know, but I can't continue to fight either way. Let's use Mike's scenario with having other things stashed or hidden or cached or whatever. Yeah, I mean, you just can't do it. And then along with that too, it would be a really, really horrible day in the sense of disappointment on my part that so many people out there did not get off their butts and did not join the fight and do everything that they possibly could do to make sure that that day never came in the first place.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'll kind of go into the same thing is until they know what I have, if they want to come into my house and do whether or not it's an illegal search and seizure is up to debate at the Constitution at that point. But if they were to come door to door, then they would not find me shooting at them. Once again, you're talking about either the law enforcement agencies or some quasi-military that'll be coming door to door enforcing this. They're just doing their jobs. Those people may not believe in what's going on, but they're doing their job. So why would I shoot at someone who might be on my side and just doing their job? So if they can find something in my house, they're more than welcome to have it.
Well, if it's locked up, they shouldn't find it.
You can have my high point. I'm good with that. You know, it's all good. But someone brought up earlier the fact that the military is they do what they're told to do. That is not true. And if you haven't served, then you don't understand that we're only forced to follow lawful orders.
Right.
We are told to question and discuss unlawful orders. And I think all of us know, we're relatively smart enough to know what's a lawful order and what's not. And understanding that they're taking the 1st Marine Division out of Camp Pendleton, having them march up and down the western the West Coast, confiscating rifles is probably not a lawful order. Once again, you're talking about now using the military, and that is an invasion from our government on the people. So if it comes to that, people were already having more problems than just giving their guns up. We've been invaded by our own country, and that is exactly why the Second Amendment will not ever leave. Just for that reason, if you start talking people confiscating door to door, that's an invasion on the public, and that is why we have the Second Amendment, to fight against a tyrannical government. So that's just my that's my tinfoil.
You know, there's so many for people that talk about the government and how inept and inefficient the government is, which it is. Let's be realistic.
Yep.
To play that scenario out with the myriad of logistical and legislative hurdles that would have to be overcome, and think that the government we have that can't pass day-to-day budgets and crap can pull that off is ridiculous to even think that way. It really is.
Yeah.
He's right.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
You know, I think it's sad we have somebody on who's a guest who's her first time on a live chat, and she started a new project fairly recently, kind of got thrust into it. So you have a unique and interesting perspective on this whole thing, and the thing's been driven off topic by a couple of delusional fantasy questions. So, you know, instead of being optimistic, like Clover said earlier, and talking about, you know, the positive and what we could be doing, we spent a heck of a lot of time talking about what you know, something that, you know, was better from maybe 2006. So, you know, we're looking at a time where we got this kind of tech and this kind of activity, this kind of people, this kind of resource. I mean, it's a fun exercise.
The future's bright, man.
Mind games, but yeah, we've got an interesting year coming up. We got 2020 midterms, or excuse me, 2020 presidential elections coming up. This is the time to mobilize. So if you want to have petty discussions about theoretical delusions, maybe the time to do it is in prime time, when we're talking to somebody who's, again, new to the media, new to the fight, and bringing new blood and new people into it. This is when we want to mobilize and start exercising our abilities, and not hash it out. I'm going to keep saying delusional fantasies.
Yeah, and that's kind of
a good point.
Yeah, and that's kind of one of the things that, you know, that's why I kind of was like, I mean, I with all due respect to said person that asked that question, I kind of blew it off because I think it's silly, but that is exactly the kind of question that continues that circle talk in the community with that echo chamber that happens with social media and stuff, as opposed to changing the paradigm and how we're talking with people like me coming in with this new perspective and being like, y'all are kind of, there's some shit show going on here that needs to be fixed. And that is, part of that is taking personal responsibility in our own community. And one of the things that we need to start doing is, you know, I believe shall not be infringed. Absolutely shall not be infringed. But if we don't start taking personal responsibility in our own community, they're going to continue to have reasons to come in and try to control us. So we need to change the language within our own community. And I'm seeing that as somebody new coming in, you know, and that language needs to change so that we can start taking personal responsibility. And, you know, I know that Rob Pincus is really controversial, you know, because he talks about, you know, he's very vocal about saying guns are dangerous. Guess what? Guns are really fucking dangerous. Guns are, but the benefits, like he said, the benefits of a firearm far outweigh the negative if people are educated properly, not only in what they are, but how to use them. And we need to start advocating that more in the community so that the gun grabber culture doesn't have anything to grab. And so that, as somebody new coming in, that is one big, huge piece that I see that's a problem. And that's across the board. I see it with, you know, the people that are out there, these content creators that, you know, are just out there to, you know, show people how they shoot guns and shit, as well as the ones that, there's a whole new culture I'm learning about that don't like these people and call them FUDs or whatever. This is a whole new thing to me. I just learned about the last couple of weeks. I know, me too. But then there's those people that are like, yeah, you know, these people are idiots for showing what they have. And I'm not necessarily, I mean, I'm armed, but y'all ain't gonna know everything I have. And that's just because I don't think people need to know my business personally. But that attitude is coming from both sides of that. And so we need to start changing the language of personal responsibility within this community if we're actually going to have any sort of fair fight against gun control law.
Yeah. There was something that I heard while Maj was talking, and someone asked a question, and actually Zeke was the one that brought it up, and I thought that was a phenomenal analogy. And he asked this guy, and he said, "Do you have kids?" I was like, "Well, yeah." You know, he was, "Do you have 2 or 3 kids?" It was, "Yeah, I've got 3 kids."
I remember that.
And he said, "So what if kid A gets in trouble at school? Are you going to punish the other 2 also because kid A got in trouble?" He's like, "Well, of course not." And he's like, "Well, that's something that we can have a discussion with people that are anti-gun is just because you bring up the evil people that have massacres that happen to use the gun as their tool, why are you going to, you know, forcibly, you know, punish all of us because of that person?" And I thought that was a really good way, because if you bring kids into that conversation in a respectful way, there's no way they can fight that argument. So I thought that was a really cool thing as well.
And it's true.
Yeah, it is. It is. So we're going to start kind of sweeping the floor up and all that. So what I want to do right now is, Kerry, I'm going to start with you. I want for you to tell people, obviously, where they can find you online, and tell them where you might be heading in the next near future.
So online, you can find our website is at wethefemale.net. My biggest presence is going to be on Instagram with stilettos and shotguns, and WeTheFemale_official is the organization's page. That one tends to stay a little bit more on topic. My personal page, though, is funny, because I'm funny. Ask these boys. So so that one's kind of a little bit more, just kind of more my personality. But and then over on Facebook, stilettos and shotguns, and We the Female, those are both up and over there. YouTube will be coming. Like I mentioned, Prize Gunner his name is Chad, and he is out of Arizona. And he and I are going to be doing some projects together about women and guns, and not the typical gun thing. So we're actually going to be doing some things like just the mom with the gun thing, and me just kind of going out and saying, this is what you should try if you're new to this. And just kind of from somebody who's new, and so along with a few other projects. So that'll be up on YouTube probably in the next couple of months. You'll be able to start finding some of that content.
Awesome. And like I said, it's been great to get to know you the last few weeks, and I look forward to working hand in hand on some of these projects with you. And it's great to see someone who has been an activist, but has been brought into the gun culture and understands that we're not all, redneck hillbilly gun tote hee haws. We're all law abiding citizens, and you understand our culture from the political side and an activist side. So I really do appreciate you coming on and all of that.
Thank
Mike,
you for having me.
Oh yeah, we'll get you on the podcast and let you go for a little bit more. But Mike, what about you? Where can we see you, and what do you need to talk about right now?
All right, so my normal spiel. Please go to www.m-wtactical.com, the one-stop shop where you can check out everything I'm a part of, from the Facebook and Instagram pages, which you can find me doing a search for M-W Tactical. Even a link where you can catch up on the Black Man with the Gun podcast with Kim Blanchard and myself, where you can get your M-W Tactical and Black Man with the Gun swag as usual. We also bring in the LEO training campaign back. So if you would like to donate to it, go to gofundme.com/LEO training to put some officers in training for a year. And the M-W Tactical channel, where we do various reviews on or conversations that we put out every Tuesday on GunStreamer, and GunStreamer. But click on the link to become a Patreon.
Thanks for coming on, Mike. I appreciate you. G, what about you? What you got going on?
Oh, all kinds of things, but thanks for having her on, and I don't even remember your name. So, Kerry.
Oh, thanks. You won't forget it now.
Oh, I know you're the female, but I was trying to find your name here. So anyway, Kerry, anytime you want, we do 2A workshops on Tuesdays and Saturdays to help people with anything they might need for the tools or the software or the platforms or just collaborations. Jump in anytime. And it's good to see that you're in the fight, and thanks for jumping on.
Thank you very much. I did want to mention right quick too, for anybody that wants to bring workshops to the area, for those that are listening, you can send me a DM on social media or wethefemaleofficial@gmail.com. You can email me and we can set up to bring one of my workshops to your area. Sorry about that.
That's awesome. And that's what it's all about. These boots on the ground, real people doing real life stuff. That's how we bring new people in. That's how we educate, right? So we're doing a lot of stuff online. We're very online centric. It's awesome. Ghost, thanks for having somebody on who's again doing stuff that's in real life, and a lot of pessimistic stuff out there on the way things used to be. We don't have to live the way things used to be. Nothing about the year 2019 means that we had to do anything the way we did back in the old days. So it's awesome that these kind of things are getting the coverage. And awesome. Thanks again.
And thanks for coming on again, G. Clover, what about you, buddy?
Well, thanks to Kerry for coming on. It's been a great conversation. I'm enjoying it. Very, very colorful. But Clovertac.com if you want to follow anything I've got going on, the podcast, the social media, and hashtag FUDLife.
Hashtag FUDLife. There you go.
He did not just go there.
Oh yeah, he's trying to take back.
I'm taking it back. I've been a FUD for a long time. There's nothing wrong with hunting and loving your break action shotguns and stuff. There's nothing wrong with that.
No, not at all.
And a lot of FUDs get a bad rap because they are in their own world. They do their own thing, and I've got a chance to explain this to Kerry. That's why I'm going into this. But they.
I'm good. Y'all have me for the evening. You can do whatever you want.
They hunt. They they work. They do their own thing, and they may a lot of them pay the NRA and don't really pay attention and stuff like that. So it's my job as a FUD, because I love all those things and hunting and all that too. It's my job to educate the other FUDs that sometimes you've got to do more. You got to take control.
Yeah.
As far as our platform, obviously we've got all sorts of stuff. I'm right in the middle a project that's going to take about another week or so, but it's concealed carry for beginners. I got a couple of videos out there. I have one dropping tomorrow, and I've got 2 more. So it'll be a 5-video series on concealed carry for beginners. So we kind of go into
awesome.
exceptions and all of that stuff. So I think that if you're interested, or you know someone that might be interested, maybe send them to the videos, and that might help them a little bit. As far as drill a month, once again, congratulations to Kingpin, who was a January 2019 drill a month winner. The February is up on myself and Mike's channel, also on GunStreamer and pretty much everywhere. Go check it out. Make sure you shoot the drill. This month we're focusing on trigger reset. So the drill's focused on a reset, and Mike does his instructional side about trigger reset. So go check it out. And obviously we have Operation Training Day, and that's going to be, we thought it was going to be a year-long thing, and the way it's looking, it could be a multi-year thing that could be bigger than we ever thought. So we're really excited about that. I'm heading to Bill Rogers in less than a month to spend a week with him. We've got all sorts of people that we're going to get involved in the training side of things. We do have some awesome companies that are getting ready to jump on board with this, but if you're willing and able to help the project, we do have travel expenses and all of that we're going to try to get covered. We have started a GoFundMe, and I'm going to put the link out there, and it's called GoFundMe.com/Operation Training Day. And if you want to help out with the project, we'd love to have you. You will be obviously part of the project and the media side of things as well. So thank you so much for all of you guys' support. It's been a wonderful 3 weeks where we had no idea, Mike and I had no idea the reception that we were going to get at SHOT Show and with the manufacturers and these different companies about Operation Training Day, and it's just been overwhelming. So we're very, very thankful. So thank you guys for always watching. Go check out Hit or Miss on YouTube. It's Night Strike 1. On GunChannels, it's Hit or Miss. Go check them out. We appreciate you guys watching us as always, and we shall see you next week. Semper Fi.